Johnny Cage.
Let's dance.
Sub-Zero. Round 1. Fight! Finish him.
Well, Bill, it looks like you got iced. Hey! Those were $500 sunglasses, asshole!
As if. I was there when you bought those. They cost $5. In fact, I still have the receipt to prove it.
It's a movie reference, Bill. You know, from the Mortal Kombat movie.
Never saw it.
You never saw the Mortal Kombat movie? You like that? That was shot in February, 2 years ago, for a movie review of Mortal Kombat I had planned. Coincidentally, just after I wrapped shooting with Tom and Billy, A+ guys, by the way, subscribe to their channel, my computer blew up. Okay, not literally blew up, but while I still had all the footage that we shot, my hard drive crashed and I lost nearly everything, including my 30-page script. That, coupled with a difficult semester, I had to put the Mortal Kombat review on the back burner for the time being, until I was watching the abomination that is the Warcraft movie one day, and amidst the objectively bad cinematic disaster my eyes were subjected to, I got to thinking. You know, it's been 20 years of video game movies, and Mortal Kombat is still the crown jewel? Seriously, how have we not gotten this right yet? Is it really that hard? Like, Mortal Kombat isn't even that great. It's just okay, really. It has its moments with some really good effects and action. And then it has shit like that. But the underlying plot of the movie, as cliche as it is, works. Liu Kang comes across as a good hero. Johnny Cage is funny.
While you're at it, why don't you call my agent?
Raiden is hilarious.
Sorry.
Sonya Blade is there. There's still something bizarrely interesting why Mortal Kombat works for some reason. While other video game movies are just hot garbage, even with modern effects and massive budgets. In my quest for the truth, I remembered a video I saw a while back, how Mortal Kombat is almost a beat-by-beat remake of Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee, done by J. Matthew Turner. You've probably seen his other Johnny from the Karate Kid Did Nothing Wrong video. But that made me scratch my head. Is it because Mortal Kombat is pretty much a remake of what is probably the greatest martial arts movie ever made that makes it at least passable? But then I remembered Mortal Kombat 1 is pretty much Enter the Dragon anyway. Yeah, nowadays Mortal Kombat has outgrown its roots with shit like Outworld and Elder Gods and revolutionary story modes, but the first game was inspired heavily by Enter the Dragon, right down to Liu Kang literally looking like Bruce Lee.
Oh, well?
The highly violent game franchise has been so widely successful that it's on its 10th game with spin-offs, animated series, TV shows, web series, toys, and everything else Ed Boon can slap an MK logo on. He's like the Gene Simmons of fighting games. Or he should be. You're missing out, Ed. With your top-tier trolling and my wily business schemes, we could go far together, Ed! Give me a call. The game plan here is to really dive into Mortal Kombat, a movie that, despite being just okay, has stood the test of time in a genre of duds. We're gonna figure out why, damn it. I have a few theories, but I need the evidence. So let's dive in and do this shit! Now we're talking! This is how you open your goddamn video game movie. Pay attention. I really don't think you can find a more hype opening credit sequence in the genre or outside of it. Okay, I mean, Conan the Barbarian is kind of sick, and I just remembered it's also like almost exactly like this, but still, Is it the most visually impressive thing? No. But come on! Between the music and the logo and the fire, the sound bites, if that doesn't get you pumped, then what the fuck is wrong with you? And the movie is smart enough to know it's a martial arts movie and opens with a martial arts fight with a young boy dressed in red. And a Shang Tsung who dresses like he shops at Hot Topic or is in a motorcycle gang. I'm not sure which side of the Venn diagram has more similarities. It looks pretty split the more I keep going. So the cool thing, at least to me about this scene, if you're seeing it for the first time, but no Mortal Kombat, is you might think the kid is a young Liu Kang, especially because he's wearing red, which is a color heavily associated with Liu Kang since Mortal Kombat 2. But actually, the movie pulls the wool over your eyes when Shang Tsung steals his soul.
Brother's soul is mine.
And we cut to the real Liu Kang, waking up from a terrible dream. We actually find out this kid's name is Chan, and he's Liu Kang's brother, made up for the film, who gets killed by Shang Tsung. But think about it for a minute. The kid looks like Liu Kang, right? And Liu Kang's dreaming about getting killed by Shang Tsung. What you're actually seeing right now is a manifestation of Liu Kang's deep-seated fears that are going to build up, and then we'll get a payoff from it later on in the movie. Look at that, Mortal Kombat's being advanced, huh? You didn't even think it would do that. Also, everything's green because I have no idea why, and The Matrix wasn't out yet, so The Matrix ripped off the Mortal Kombat movie, just pointing that out. Then we cut to Hong Kong, where we meet Lieutenant Sonya Blade. Oh hey, Jax is there too, that's kinda cool. Sonya's looking for Kano, a criminal thug who I guess likes underground metal shows now, but she has a vendetta because Kano killed her partner. Speaking of Kano, this movie pretty much changed everything about Kano's character from the ground up. You see, originally, Kano was a Japanese man in Mortal Kombat, in charge of a Japanese criminal network called the Black Dragon. But for whatever brilliant reason, this movie casted a British man as Kano, whose accent is often confused for Australian, which has now made Kano de facto Australian in every Mortal Kombat game afterwards. And the movie wastes no time quickly establishing that Shang Tsung and Kano are in cahoots, tying together Liu Kang and Sonya Blade's cinematic fate here. We know Liu Kang doesn't like Shang Tsung, and Sonya doesn't like Kano, so, naturally, they're gonna work together. Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, that only leaves... I just want to point out how I love this shot personally. There's something about the strong clash between the vibrant and very recognizable Hollywood with the pitch black shadows on the sides, Johnny Cage's lone silhouette smack dab in the middle. I believe that's called chiaroscuro, the balance between light and dark. Thank you, Mr. Jefferson.
Dance.
Johnny then throws down with 4 jobbers in a garage in a pretty decent fight scene, though it's a shame they didn't incorporate the car at all. I mean, it's right there and it'd be a really cool prop to use. Johnny has the upper hand until...
This is where you fall down. Where do you get these guys?
We were on a movie set the whole time! Johnny storms off set, bitching about being the only professional on the set. Also, nice Easter egg with the dizzy pose from the games, didn't want that to go unnoticed. He then runs into his discount Jack Nicholson sensei. Turns out, Johnny keeps getting called a fake by the press, which he vehemently dislikes.
I see the press is still giving you a hard time.
His master invites him to the Mortal Kombat tournament to prove his detractors wrong, and Johnny is down for it. Then we find out... What? That's right, it was Shang Tsung the whole time! You see, this was a really smart way to do this. In the first 3 scenes, like we're not even 10 minutes in, they clearly establish that the fates of the 3 main heroes are intertwined with, whether they know it or not, the fate of the main villain. It makes the entire movie flow so much better, instead of if they gave each character their own entirely independent stories and tried to juggle all 3 of them. No, we know they're all tied in with Shang Tsung. Next up, Liu Kang returns home to his fellow monks, where he announces he wants to fight in the next Mortal Kombat tournament so he can kick Shang Tsung's ass. The monks tell him,
That cannot be your only reason for going, or you will fail.
and then Liu Kang is like, oh yeah, we're the good guys.
We're fighting for the fate of the world.
Then Raiden shows up and mocks the shit out of Liu Kang for being a coward and letting his brother die.
Why didn't you protect him?
Why didn't you?
Damn, Raiden, you're supposed to be one of the good guys, remember?
Anyway, Doubting Thomas over here doesn't believe that it's Raiden, so that only leads to Liu getting his ass kicked.
Or would it be Kang? I think Kang is his given name. I don't know, I'm not sure. Anyway, moving on.
Raiden tries to tell Liu Kang to have some humility, but Liu Kang wants none of that shit and says he's gonna kick Shang Tsung's ass regardless of if he represents his monk friends at the tournament or not.
With or without your consent.
Sometime later, all three of our heroes arrive at the docks and meet mostly through happenstance. Johnny Cage hilariously mistakes Liu Kang for a dock worker.
Thank God I didn't ask him to park the car.
And he also tries to put the moves on Sonya Blade.
Help me find him.
The interesting thing here is this is really the first time you'd be seeing any type of personality for these characters. I mean, sure, there was a little bit here and there in ending sequences, but a lot of it comes from this movie and it ends up sticking around throughout the series.
Johnny Cage became dedicated comic relief in the games, and his romantic relationship with Sonya Blade owes a lot to its appearance in the movie. Liu Kang retains a bit of his sarcastic wit and also letting his emotions get the better of him when they really shouldn't. Sonya's standoffishness was carried over as well, and even Raiden, whose sarcastic charm is through the roof in this movie, shows elements of it at times.
You aided their escape.
You allowed them to escape.
Oh, and I almost forgot, we meet a new character made for the movie, named Art Lean, who hits it off well with Johnny Cage. Art, unfortunately, isn't too interesting, and he'll be our fifth wheel for the movie.
Yeah, well, tell that to the press.
Everyone gets on Shang Tsung's spooky dragon boat, which definitely does not look up to code, and Sonya goes looking for Kano, because she saw him boarding the ship. Jax decided to stay behind because, well, we got Art Lean in the movie, we don't need Jax. She runs into Shang Tsung, who also wants to give her the D. But Johnny and Liu show up to stop that shit before it goes a little too far. Shang Tsung then...
Wait, what?
This isn't right! Scorpion and Sub-Zero hate each other! The only time they'd be coming out of a room together is if one had the other's head in their hand. Or I guess in some erotic fiction on DeviantArt, but I don't think that's canon. You see, Sub-Zero killed Scorpion, who comes back as a spooky ghost looking for revenge. And if you know your Mortal Kombat, you'd know that Scorpion thinks Sub-Zero killed his family, adding more fuel to the fire, even though Sub-Zero was framed. The movie tries to clarify this, saying that both are working for Shang Tsung, but even in the original Mortal Kombat game, it's explicitly stated that Scorpion and Sub-Zero are enemies, and that Scorpion wants revenge. Not to mention that Sub-Zero was originally hired by someone to assassinate Shang Tsung in the tournament in the first game, but they later retconned that, but the timeline's not adding up here. Raiden, who I guess was just as mad as I was about this change, shows up and fries the shit out of both of them. Also, Sub-Zero freezing Sonya's gun is pretty good early CGI effect. Scorpion's hand serpent thing, not so much. Raiden and Shang Tsung argue over rules and shit and agree that there'll be no more fighting before the tournament. This is followed up with our first big exposition dump.
Basically, Raiden is the god of thunder and protector of Earth. Mortal Kombat is a tournament where Earth defends itself from extra-dimensional invasion, and if they lose this one, then Earth is fucked. Any questions?
The boat arrives on Shang Tsung's island, and it's pretty nice looking. Maybe Shang should get out of the tournament business and look into luxury resorts. Okay, maybe it's not that nice. Listen, all I'm saying is if you want a William Shatner commercial, the spooky statues got to go. And for Christ's sakes, man, get an elevator. Liu Kang falls instantly in love with a mystery woman who's revealed to be Princess Kitana from Mortal Kombat 2. The adopted daughter of Shao Kahn, who's in this movie for some reason. I guess they felt Liu Kang needed a love interest for this one? By the way, this is another thing in MK lore that kinda owes it to the movie. And then there's... CGI reptile. I really don't think there's much to be said about it that hasn't been said already, so I'm gonna try something new here and lend out a compliment, which is the design itself isn't bad. Like, if they made it with modern tech today, it'd probably look kinda cool. It's a simple, effective design. I'm not talking about the colors, I'm talking more about the shape and the way it looks. And it has elements from the game, like going invisible and spitting acid later on, but it just looks so awful. Shang Tsung, being a good host, holds a feast for everyone, which was nice. Until Sub-Zero shows up and murders a guy.
Okay, it was really to send a message, but I want to bring two things up.
Firstly, that was pretty cool. Secondly, people like to get mad that this movie isn't violent enough or how there's no heads being ripped off or guts flying out, but that was pretty violent. I get that criticism though. Save for a very few painful looking moves, the fights are kinda tame. But there is a good reason for it.
It's all about the money.
You see, there's this capitalist enterprise called the Hollywood movie industry, even though it's filled with communists for some strange reason, and they love money. So much so that they try their best to make lots of it. And a lot of that has to do with getting big audiences. Now, the target demographic here is kids who played Mortal Kombat in the arcades who couldn't go see an R-rated movie. And when your target audience can't see your movie, you're fucked. Also, nowadays we live in a world where we can have R-rated movies like Deadpool and It make a metric fuck ton of money while being R-rated. But that wasn't always so. Not too long ago, R-rated movies were rarely profitable. An R-rated Mortal Kombat movie would have flopped harder than a fat kid off a diving board. Around now, we finally get our first look at Prince Goro as we head towards the second act, and let me tell ya, this motherfucker still impresses me to this day. I think a large part of it has to do with the fact that, you know, he's rarely there. Okay, well, Goro isn't actually rarely there, but what you're looking at is a mixture of costume, puppetry, and animatronics that not only just look like how Goro should look, it also looks so close to a flesh and blood creature, it's kinda eerie. There's just like that little bit that's off, and you can tell you're looking at a robot. But, ooh.
If this Shang Tsung guy is so great, how come he's got such a crummy looking boat?
Kano asking the real questions here. By the way, here's our second expedition dump. Coming up.
Outworld is close to victory, and Shang Tsung tells Kano and Goro not to fuck it up. Shang Tsung has plans for Sonya, for some reason, and tells Kano not to kill her. Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and Sonya Blade all hear this because they're eavesdropping on them.
So then our heroes fight some goons, and they think they're hot shit. Then more goons show up with sharp pointy things, and they realize they weren't nearly as hot shit as they thought. Raiden shows up and scares the goons, proving that he is, in fact, the shit. And we find out the tournament starts tomorrow.
Now the second act is all fight scenes, because we dumped all the need-to-know information in the first act. People came here for Mortal Kombat, goddammit! They didn't come here for story hour.
The first fight is Liu Kang versus some random jobber guy, who I guess is on the Outworld side, but doesn't look like it, so maybe not. These tournament rules are very unclear. The fight itself is a pretty cool staff fight where Robin Shou, the actor who plays Liu Kang, gets to show off his moves, and the other guy reminds me of Cyrax and is making me wonder if this is why they retconned him into Mortal Kombat 1 and MK9. Liu Kang wins and Shang Tsung steals the loser's soul, which is a pretty cool touch and is kind of in keeping with the original game.
You see, when they were making Mortal Kombat 1, they wanted Liu Kang to be like the hero, so they made it so that his fatality was like the only one that didn't outright kill his opponent. Which makes me wonder why even call it a fatality. But I guess Liu Kang had to have a fatality. That'd be weird if he didn't. If every other character had a fatality but Liu Kang did not. I don't know where I'm going with this.
So it makes sense that Liu Kang wouldn't kill him here. And we get to see Shang Tsung's soul steal in action too, which is pretty sweet. And he even goes full cheeseball and declares it a fatality afterwards. Beautiful. Next up, we get Sonya versus Kano, which is pretty lackluster to be honest, probably because neither actor here is an actual martial artist. So that's the cool thing about the major characters in this movie. Most of them are martial artists, especially the ones that matter. Liu Kang, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, hell, even Shang Tsung. All the actors have martial arts backgrounds. Even the actor playing Johnny Cage had some martial arts training. Brigitte Wilson and Trevor Goddard, not so much. They trained a little bit on the set, but other than that, I can't knock them too hard though. They are doing all their own stunts, and they're trying, but it's definitely not the same caliber as the rest of the fights. Anyway, Sonya mercilessly kills Kano, but I can think of worse ways to die than between a woman's legs. Whoa! Wait, I thought this was a tropical island. Where'd this deciduous orchard come from? And why don't those trees have leaves? The grass is green, it's summertime, it's not winter. Anyway, it's time for Johnny Cage and Scorpion to duke it out in what is a pretty lengthy and good fight scene that switches location to the Netherrealm halfway through.
Unfortunately, that means we don't get a Scorpion versus Sub-Zero fight scene. For that, you're gonna have to watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I highly recommend you don't watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh yeah, and they had Ed Boon do the voice of Scorpion, which is just awesome. I like how every now and then, too, we get a wide shot putting both of them on a 2D plane. It's a nice touch. Scorpion even unmasks himself and starts breathing fire. Shit gets hype, and Johnny Cage slices his skull in half with a shield, and ends it all with a friendship.
Friendship? Again?
Meanwhile, Liu Kang fights Katana, but it's really more of a conversation as she gives him them sweet pro tips on how to beat Sub-Zero. Shang Tsung stops the fight because he ain't having none of that shit. Next up, Liu Kang and Sub-Zero have a fight, which, despite being the shortest fight, is probably my favorite fight in the movie. But I'm biased.
Yeah, let's go Sub-Zero. Give him a left and give him a right. Hook him. Go for the left. Kick his ass, Sub-Zero. Hit him with the meaty. Oh, yeah, kick his ass. Go for it. Go in deep. Yeah, in and out. Keep the pressure on. Keep the quarter pressure on. Ooh, watch out for the wake up. Ooh, Sub-Zero. Get out of there. Hit him with the corner pressure. Ooh, counter hit. Ow, he got you with the frame traps. He got you. Kick his ass. Kick his scrawny Liu Kang ass. Fuck this movie.
Well, after killing off my favorite character, it's time to kill off everyone's least favorite character, as Art Lean fights Goro. Art gets in a few hits, but then promptly gets his shit wrecked. Once again, this is accurate to the game. And thus ends the tragic tale of Art Lean, a forgotten character in the Mortal Kombat mythos, destined for obscurity, like Zero or Mocap.
You know, when Stryker is more fondly talked about than you never had a chance.
Flawless victory.
Johnny Cage takes this especially hard for some reason. After this, our three heroes pretty much just straight up ask Raiden if they're fucked. Raiden doesn't give a straight answer, so Johnny Cage is like, I'm gonna fight Goro then. Raiden's response borders pretty much on LOL, good luck. So Johnny talks to Shang Tsung how he wants to fight Goro, and Shang is like, yeah man, go for it, you can do it. Keck. Raiden shows up and he's like, oh, I didn't think you were gonna be serious about that, Johnny. And Johnny Cage plays it off all cool, like, no worries, fam. I got this. As you can probably guess, naturally, Johnny ends up fighting Goro, who breaks Johnny's sunglasses. Pro tip, don't fuck with Johnny Cage's sunglasses. What could have been a pretty cool fight is unfortunately wasted, as Johnny just kind of knocks Goro off a cliff. I wouldn't really even call it a fight. It's more of a series of cheap shots. We got some comedical Johnny lines to boot, though.
Those were $500 sunglasses, asshole. This is where you fall down.
This gives Shang Tsung time to abduct Sonya Blade, and he escapes with her to Outworld, which is kind of against the rules, I thought, but whatever. Turns out Shang Tsung wants to fight Sonya because it should be an easy win, or he just wants to die to them legs like Kano. I'm sure he's down for either. Turns out Raiden can't go to Outworld for whatever reason, so Liu Kang and Johnny Cage go to Outworld to rescue her.
I'm in a hostile environment. I am completely unprepared. I'm surrounded by people who probably want to kick my ass. It's like being back in high school.
I fucking love Johnny Cage in this movie.
So, this is Outworld, huh? Ah, I can see why they want to change the scenery.
Ah, looks like we're adding some bits of Mortal Kombat 2 here. This movie's getting ambitious. Also, Outworld is purple, just like the games. Liu Kang finds CGI Reptile, who, admit it, you forgot was even a thing for a second, and throws him into a statue, which... Holy shit, we're doing it! Reptile versus Liu Kang, let's go! This is a very acrobatic and action-packed fight scene that uses a lot of wire work. It was totally choreographed by Robin Shou, who plays Liu Kang, and was the first major American movie to use wire work in a fight, predating The Matrix by 5 years. Thanks, IMDb. So I was right, The Matrix did rip off Mortal Kombat. Also, apparently this fight was added in later because test audiences didn't think there was enough fighting in the movie still, despite the second act being nothing but fight scenes. And I guess that also explains why Johnny Cage just vanishes from existence during this fight and is treated like he isn't just standing on the sidelines watching this shit and laughing like an asshole.
I'm so glad this move made it into the movie. It looks just as dumb in real life as I thought it would.
Oh, no, you don't.
The boys meet up with Katana, and they head to Shang Tsung's Wizard Tower to a terribly CGI'd Sonya chained up. Looks like Shang Tsung took the time to go all Jabba the Hutt on her and give her a slave outfit.
Guy gives me the creeps.
A cool touch is the appearance of Shang Tsung's Shadow Priest from Mortal Kombat 2. Liu, Johnny, and Katana disguise themselves and sneak in. Then Liu Kang decides that he's going to be the one to fight Shang Tsung, despite only rarely beating a jobber in Sub-Zero. I mean, shouldn't Johnny be fighting Shang, if anything? The dude beat Goro, the reigning champion.
Oh, this tournament makes no sense!
Liu and Shang square off in the final fight of the movie. And like any good video game boss battle, this shit has multiple phases. First, Liu Kang and Shang duke it out hand to hand. When Liu Kang gets that upper hand, Shang Tsung uses some of the souls he's absorbed to spawn a bunch of jobbers to take on Liu Kang. Pretty sure that wouldn't work like that. And then, Shang Tsung takes on his final form, that of a young boy.
Guy gives me the creeps.
It's actually Liu's younger brother Chan, and Shang Tsung tries stalling Liu Kang so that a pit of spikes can fill up below. Liu Kang sees right through this.
Shang Tsung killed my brother!
And thus, the final phase begins, with Shang Tsung clearly reading Liu Kang's inputs. But Liu puts in another quarter and gets a second win, and the upper hand. He calls Shang Tsung a loser, and then proceeds to go full MK3 brutality on his ass, before knocking him into the pit with a fireball, which is inaccurate, because you have to use an uppercut in MK1. Everyone knows that.
Fatality. Flawless victory.
Hold on, Liu Kang, no that was not! You get hit several times! Now that I think about it, so did Goro when he fought Arlene. I don't think this movie understands what a flawless victory is.
With Shang Tsung dead, all the souls he stole get released, so Liu Kang gets to finally make peace with his brother's death. The heroes return home triumphant, and Raiden is like, I knew you guys could do it. All you needed was some snarky encouragement. Raiden!
I don't think so.
Then Scooby-Doo shows up. Actually, it's Shao Kahn. But it is Frank Welker who began voicing Scooby-Doo in 2002, so I consider this his audition tape.
Pathetic fools, I've come for your souls.
I don't think so.
And we end on a cliffhanger, because the tournament itself didn't matter and Shao Kahn can just invade Earthrealm anyway. But if you want that story, you'll have to watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
I highly, highly recommend you don't watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
And that is the entirety of Mortal Kombat. And overall, it isn't the end-all be-all of movies by any means, but considering its genre, it's not the worst thing by any means. And remember, we were trying to find out why. Well, I have a few ideas how. First, this is a movie that knows what it is, knows what it wants to be, and isn't ashamed to be exactly that. Not only does it emulate Enter the Dragon, which plays to its strengths, but it doesn't shy away from being a popcorn flick action movie. It knows that Mortal Kombat, especially in 1995, was not the Shakespeare of video game plots, and it doesn't try to fix that by shoehorning in unnecessary nonsense. It establishes its characters, their motivations, and their personalities early on, and lets the dynamic between them carry the movie between the fight scenes. And it focuses heavily on the fight scenes, many of which are well choreographed and performed by real, talented martial artists. Sure, their acting ability isn't the best, but if you're looking for grade A acting in a movie based on a fighting game, you're in the wrong place, man. Second, it's a movie that isn't ashamed of its source material. Sure, the blood and gore that made Mortal Kombat legendary is lacking, but it has literally everything else. But it's smart enough to pace it out and not load too much absurdity at us all at once. Campy special moves show up often enough to be cool, but not enough to get redundant. Costumes are spot on, especially for Liu Kang, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and Reptile. And for the ninjas especially, they help mitigate the potential oddness of their costumes by matching their colors to the backgrounds of their main fights for some very good visuals. And what's helped this movie age so well is that it contributed back into the source material. A lot of elements from this movie have been carried into the games in some capacity, and it makes it so when looking back on this movie, it represents the past franchise and the modern franchise pretty well still. And third, it's a movie that's trying to be fun and entertaining. It's not trying to explain the deep lore of Mortal Kombat with 30-minute scenes of exposition. And it doesn't just assume you know it and leave it out either. It tells you what you need to know when you need to know it, and then moves on, because it knows why you came here. For the fights! And this movie has them in droves, almost too much of them. Mortal Kombat isn't trying to win Oscars or be adored by critics. It's designed to make fans smile, the newbies want to play the games, and the normies get a genuine kick out of the insanity of it all. I've met people who've never played the Mortal Kombat games, but like the Mortal Kombat movie. I can't say that for Double Dragon, or Tomb Raider, or Assassin's Creed.
I think that's why this is still the crown jewel. It's playing to its strengths the whole way through, and... What is that? Oh dear.
Hello?
Bill, listen,
I can't come to the phone right now, but leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Billy, listen. I reviewed Mortal Kombat like I planned to all those years ago, right? And, dude, something awful is happening. I think the review is cursed, man. Alright, just give me a call when you get a chance, okay?
Mitch! You home? I got your message. Oh, I've been waiting 2 years for this. Let's dance.
I'm rolling.
Alright, so if you're dizzy, get a little more dizzy. Get like real, like, whoa. Okay. Don't wander like a zombie. Try to keep your
feet
legs
steady.
still, but your upper body, yeah. Yeah. Loosey-goosey, baby. Loosey-goosey. Just like Jack Black said, it's gonna rock. Alright, you ready, Tom?
Yep.
Action. So it says finish it. Fuck.